Aloha, everyone. My name is Tim Slaughter. I'm the director of the Asia Pacific Dance Festival, and we want to welcome you to the Asia Pacific Dance Festival's Moving Forward project. These are conversations with former participants in the Asia Pacific Dance Festival over the years since we started in 2011. I want to take a moment and thank our sponsors for the festival, the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, the University of Hawaii, and our partners in this, the East West Center Arts Program, and the Theater and Dance Department at the university. We're happy to have you here with us, and now I want to introduce my colleague who will be your host for the evening, a dancer herself and a member of the Asia Pacific Dance Festival Committee, Desiree Quintero. Desiree?
Thank you so much, Tim, for that introduction. Aloha, everyone. I am so happy to be here tonight, and I will be speaking with members from the Ask Dance Company, ADC. Ask is an award-winning Malaysian professional dance company established in 2011 that specializes in providing training, workshops, master classes, performances, choreography, as well as undertaking collaborative projects in various genres of dance. The company has participated in major Malaysian festivals and has also toured internationally to places like Hong Kong, the Philippines, Singapore, Indonesia, South Korea, Japan, Switzerland, Vietnam, Thailand, and here to Hawaii in 2019. The company's philosophy is that to be alive, one must continuously learn and thus be unafraid to ask pertinent questions. Its dance productions serve as a platform for this dialogue, from issues about disenfranchisement to celebrations of life. So today, joining us are ADC members Joseph Gonzales, currently in Hong Kong, and Imran Syafiq, currently in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So just a brief introduction of both of our guests. Joseph is the founder and artistic director of Ask Dance Company. He is a professor at the Hong Kong Academy for Performing Arts since 2016 and was the Dean of Dance at the National Arts Academy, Malaysia from 1998 to 2015. He has performed, choreographed professionally in multiple genres of dance and theater. He is a researcher of Malaysian dance and author of several publications, choreographer, educator, festival curator, and has been involved in many Malaysian and international dance organizations. He uses dance as a tool for empowerment of youth, a bridge towards intercultural understanding, a response to contemporary issues, and works for a greater international presence for Malaysia. And our second guest is Imran, who is currently the managing director of Ask Dance Company since 2016. He has performed extensively in all major Malaysian festivals. He is an award-winning ballet dancer, and he completed his Bharatanatyam Arangtram in 2017. So from ballet to Bharatanatyam, that really shows incredible range and versatility. Internationally, he has performed in Papua New Guinea, Japan, Indonesia, Australia, the USA, and other countries. And with ADC, has conducted many local and international dance workshops. He has managed the ADC flagship outreach programs called Building Bridges, Get Malaysia Dancing, Connecting Communities, and Forging Traditions. So, hello, good afternoon, Joseph and Imran there in Hong Kong and in Kuala Lumpur, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank
To
you very
start
much for
off,
having us, Desiree.
I'd like, yes, thank you. So to start off, I'd like to know how you would describe your time at the APDF and describe the nature of what you did at the festival.
Thank you so much for having us again. The APDF, I think for me, was definitely, in many ways, a dream come true. I think I grew up definitely in my teens watching television programs like Hawaii Five-0, and you have Steve McGarrett turning around to face the audience, and you have Jack Lord as Steve McGarrett. It's burned into my brain, and the music is iconic, right? So, I've always had a vision, a dream to go to Hawaii, looking at the hula, uh, and never had the opportunity. The opportunity never arose. I was very blessed to have met both you and Waylon in Malaysia several times in the time that you spent. So I think there was a natural affinity, a calling from Hawaii to me, and never got realized. Also, very important people in my life, such as Professor Gauss, Professor Gulam, Professor Anis, and also Lina Ang, the Buto artist from Malaysia. They all trained at the East-West Center. And somebody I've just met recently, Professor Halkias from the Hong Kong University, also studied in Hawaii. So there were a lot of people that I knew that talked about a Hawaiian experience, So when the opportunity arose after Tim very carefully curated the festival, and said, all right, we are going to invite you to the festival. And this was really a dream come true. The timing was perfect. It fell into the holiday session of school, so there were no issues of taking time off from work and teaching and so on. So the festival experience was incredible, but I also want to talk about leading up to the festival. There were so many challenges, unimaginable challenges that we faced as a company, Desiree, because Imran, I think, was it 2 members of our company came down with dengue fever or something like that?
Yes, correct. So 2 members were down with fever, and then I think one actually had chicken pox during the trip in APDF.
Yes. So those kinds of challenges kept on coming, and it was like, and I was in constant conversation with Imran, and I was like, okay, Imran, I don't care, by hook or by crook, we're going to get there. And if it means, only one person is dancing, so be it, And then at the festival, it was really everything and more than I had hoped for. I think the interaction with, it's a very small, intimate group of people, of participants. An opportunity to share with that wonderful group, Damala Hamid from Canada, and to share Malaysian art very intensely through the period of presentations. So we had these presentations of Mak Yong and other Malaysian art forms, and then we teach the workshop. So we met so many beautiful people from the East-West Center and the University of Hawaii and the participants of the festival that I think will remain our friends forever, So, yeah, it really was amazing.
So Imran, can you kind of describe what your experience, because you had to actually conduct the workshops and teach the students and give seminars. What was that experience like for you?
Okay, I would say it was so much fun having the participants in EPDF. Although it was an intense week, I think for the participants, they actually learned the different diverse or the multicultural essence of Malaysian dances. So I was actually giving talks about the Malay classical dances, on how it developed, and then again diachronic process and how it came to now as the form. and then teaching the workshops and the form to them really such a good experience because they actually learn it very fast as well as they understand the movements, although it is not their forte, if I say, because Malay traditional dances tend to have, you know, hand gestures and all of them is quite um, weird for them. So the posture and all, even they have to learn the Malay martial arts called silat, which is so fun that they actually have to, you know, fight with each other to get a sense of where the stance or where the gestures origin of the form came. So yeah, and we had a good time, and then I think not just from me to them, I had the chance to learn hula from Kumu Michael Pilipang too, and that's where we find that the similarities of what we had um, in Southeast Asia, as well as in Hawaii through hula. So, coming from a Bharatanatyam background, that I do feel the coordination is quite hard between hula and as well as Bharatanatyam. Luckily, I had that training, so it was fun, and yeah, I really, really hope that it has impacted the participants, not just in the sense of form, but in the sense of appreciate the diversity and the similarity between these cultures.
Yes, that's actually one of the comments that some students had mentioned is that you know, the incredible versatility of all of the dancers of Ask, and in terms of, you know, the performance of traditional styles and classical styles, and also contemporary styles as well. It was really an incredible experience for participants as well. So you guys did a great job from what I've heard from other students who had participated and had learned from you. So next, what we're going to have is a short video of a performance called Decare, of the performance that ADC had at the APDF in 2019. So could one of you please describe very briefly what we're about to see?
Sure, Desiree. I'll describe it for you. So, the show or the piece that you're going to watch is called Decare. It was choreographed by one of our former members, Raziman Sarbini. It was inspired by a Dike Barat, which is a traditional folk song and dance originated from Kelantan, which was a northwest uh, states in Malaysia. The dance uses
Northeast actually.
northeast. Sorry, guys, northeast. So it uses repeated phrases of movements while telling a story. So the nature of life is actually repetitious, and it continues the cycle until it ends. So the choreography draws parallels between these and the journey of every man or woman who strive for perfections or in a quest or a particular goal. So yeah.
Okay, great. So here, enjoy Tikir. Okay, apologies everybody. The sound for the piece is not coming through, but as you can tell from the video, the piece was a very high energy piece. From what I gather, is a very popular piece that is requested to be performed throughout Malaysia. So, could you talk a little bit about why you think this piece is so popular that people request to see it?
Should I take it, sir, or you want to
Yeah,
take it
yeah.
first?
I think, we can just sort of, you can see that I think it's just a really great contemporary interpretation of a traditional form. So the original form of Dikir Barat is very popular. So it's a call and response, very cleverly, sung, and the energy and the movement is very robust, very high dynamics that people really get drawn into that performance. And this is a really intelligent contemporary choreography that uses all those same elements. And there are very funny moments for those who understand a little bit about or have knowledge of Malay or Malay Muslim culture, for example. You can see the wearing of the sarongs, for example, that's very typical. So it's very identifiable. And then there's a moment where they're actually holding the sarongs out. And that really comes from something that Malaysians identify with, that, the boys, when they are, I think, 12, they go through the process of circumcision in the villages, and that's how the sarong is held away from in the sensitive areas, and so that's incorporated into the piece. And there's also drawn from randai, which is a theatre form, a folk theatre form that is practiced by the people of Minangkabau, people who live in Negeri Sembilan, originating from Sumatra. So those kinds of movements that play with the sarong also have been incorporated into the work. And then there is this idea of the chair, and the chair, of course, in Malay, the kerusi, uh, literally translates into the chairs for in a political election. Where is the kerusi? Where do you fight for the kerusi? Where do you fight for the seat of power? Whether it is locally or whether it is in a federal federal election. So the chair often signifies power. And you see that that the chair is something that people go to and want to acquire, and at the very end of it, it's you have somebody standing on the chair and performing, but at the end somebody is behind and shoves the person away from the position of power. So it then draws into, for the Malaysian audiences especially, there have been incredible power struggles in our country since 2018, really. So it's something that's very relevant, and I think it really resonates with the audience. So Imran, you can add more stuff to that.
Yeah, actually, I agree with you, sir. Even the process itself of creating the work took quite a period of time to actually to create the whole sequences, and then for the dancers to actually memorize each sequence. This one you can't like follow each other. You need to remember on your own. So because each dancer will have their own sequence to memorize, and then at the end of the day, you will change in another position. So it's quite hard because it's all about synchronizations, about unisons, and also it's about gathering that same energy to deliver to the audiences. So sometimes we tend to forget, or we tend to memorize, or sometimes that there are moments where suddenly you don't remember what your sequence are, but then the choreographer will say, okay, so that's where is the stand for you. So you just need to stand and pose just to remember what is the next sequence. So in other way, it kind of giving the chance or for the choreography, then suddenly the image will be a different image, and suddenly there are other people standing with you rather than only the people on top of the kerusi, like what Joseph said. So yeah, and then experimenting with the sarung, we tried different kinds of movements in order to adapt for the dance, and actually it actually changed from on top of a chair to sitting position. And that's where it becomes really hard because originally in Kelantan, the one that basically maneuver the song or the dance itself is actually the tukang karut, which is the singer. So those who are actually seated will be the awak-awak. So be those who call or responds to the tukang karut. So that's actually what Razimans want to play with. Not just the tukang karut have the power, but the people as well have the power to change. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it seems the piece itself, because of all of the repetition that happens, that it would be really challenging for a dancer to just kind of keep all the sequences, going, and to know where you are in a dance. And you can't, like you said, you can't kind of look to see what other people are doing. You have to be in that moment. So it's a really an accomplishment in many ways to be able to complete the dance.
Exactly,
So,
and we had numerous numbers of rehearsals.
right. Okay, so thank you so much. Now we're going to show the second piece from the APDF in 2019. It's called Tapak Ampat or Tapak 4. Could one of you give a brief description of the piece we're about to see?
This is another sort of a hallmark piece that represents some of the finest contemporary interpretations of Malaysian traditional art. And I think it was choreographed quite some time ago. If I'm not mistaken, maybe 2008, maybe, or around that time. So it's actually quite an old piece, yeah. And I think the choreographer, Shafirul Azmi Suhaimi, really intelligently, again, uses not just the movements of the Malay martial art silat, but really the philosophy of it also. And I think that incorporation of the philosophy, which talks about things that are such as groundedness, that every silat practitioner needs to be grounded. There is the element of play within silat, call and response within silat, the element of sitting and waiting, the element of pretending or teasing, going one way but actually going in another way, in another direction. So there's elements of surprise, the element of being quiet and waiting. So there's sort of a certain sense of calm sometimes in the midst of sort of a manic buildup of energy as well at the same time. So I really feel, even 10 to 15 years after the work has been staged and innumerable times, that this is really one of the finest examples in Malaysia, in my experience, and that I would like to share with audiences whenever the opportunity arises. I have talked with the choreographer and also the dancers about what are the possibilities of us, maybe reworking some of maybe the costumes. I'm not terribly excited about the costumes that we wore. We are often limited by, very fundamental things like budgets, so it's not a lot that we can do with a very limited amount of money, which is the hard nuts and bolts facts of production and staging work. Ideally, I would like, a designer to sort of look at the work and come up with a new design for the costumes at some point, when maybe we're a little bit more financially stable. But really, it's an incredibly clever piece of the structure of the work is really powerful. It's beautiful, and it reflects how the Malay martial art of silat might actually be practiced within a courtyard or a gelanggang, as would be the normal practice, or a bangsal in a shed. So we try to recreate that kind of flavor of the piece itself when it was done. And I, hats off and kudos to Shafiro, who has a really incredible knowledge of the form, one thing, but he also has a very quirky contemporary brain. He's got a really clever sense of humor. Sometimes in his explorations, he'll explore with the most left field or almost comical or ridiculous ideas, and from those ideas sometimes come some really moments of genius, if I may say so. And the piece really has stood the test of time. So that's tapak empat, which means the base of 4, which is a fundamental principle in this martial art.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that great introduction. So now we are going to see Tapak Empat from the APDF in 2019. So thank you. That was such an interest because there are these moments of unison movement, but also moments of individual movement as well, that I thought it was very fascinating and so interesting to watch. Now we are going to watch a current piece that the Ask Dance Company has produced. It's a dance film. The title of it is The Distance Project, Hymns of the Abandoned. And would one of you please briefly describe what we are about to watch?
Okay, so the Decent Project, The Hymns of Abandon, is actually a dance film created during the movement control order in Malaysia at that time. So we were fortunate because we're at Cendana, which is the Cultural Development Agency, was actually giving grants to create a digital products or digital piece. So we had this idea to actually do this film as we are currently in isolation and with the theme of alienation and to have distance from each other. So the dance film was actually filmed in an abandoned house to actually portray the theme that the choreographer wanted. It was choreographed by Zulkarnain Zubey and directed by Aaron Chang. Uh, it was performed by the current members of Us Dance Company, which is myself, Kimberly Yap, Riziana, Azamuddin, Syafiq Yusof, and Nadira Rahmat. So 6 of us. And we had, I think, about 1 day of filming, but about 3 months of rehearsing online and physical. So it is I think, about 16 minutes piece that you will enjoy, and I think it developed from a dynamic and a crescendo because we want to portray again that sense of loneliness and belong with each other, the distance between families, the in lovers, even the distance within the community. So it is the hymns of ourselves singing that, so that the hope will actually continue our self in this period of time.
Okay, great. Thank you for that great introduction. So now we will see The Distance Project, the Hymns of the Abandoned. Wow, what a fascinating piece. I'd like to know a little bit more about the process of making the film. Imran, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So initially, the plan was to actually film it on an industrial space, but then due to other situation, we choose the abandoned space to reflect the current situation. So I think the rehearsal starts about 3 months. I think starting from the lockdown itself, where the choreographer actually gave us some instructions and method to develop a vocabulary for the dance. So he uses a lot of curve lines as well as isolation for the films, and he really wanted to show the distance or the relationships between either two people or even a community between three people and in a group or ensemble. So Zul actually said to me, you know what? So I want to do it like this. You know, each and everyone will have a solo, and they will have their own uh, duets and trios to actually portray what I want. So okay, then we decide to go to the space itself, which is an abandoned space, abandoned house in Petaling Jaya. Then we quickly run through the space of which sections will suit where the angle would be. So a part of us, I mean, sometimes during the shoot, I actually said, yeah, this might be our theater in upcoming 20 years. You know, it will be abandoned and there will be no audience. There will be like creepers crawling around, you know, because at the moment it is in that situation where we can't perform in theater and we can't watch movies anymore, you know. So it might be the relevant of a parallel universe later. So yeah, and then there are parts that we actually intentionally shoot it like it is a performance or like a stage performance because we want to give a sense to audience that you know what, this is how we have to adapt. So from a stage performance, now we adapt it into a dance film. So we want to give a sense of, oh, okay, so this is actually derived. If it were a stage performance, it will be like this. But then it was filmed. So yeah, and then I think the dancers shows their own individuality throughout the whole piece, through the expression of the body as well. And we had quite rehearsals to actually gain the energies, to sing our energies. And because it is film, so it has a lot of takes, not just one, different angles and different. So it actually being more tired than a live performance. Definitely. Yeah. So and then we had a talk with Dr. Joseph where okay, so this is the final product. You know, we really wanted to show this, and that's where we find the title of the Hymns of Abandon. Where okay, so it really reflects what the choreographer wants, and also with Aaron as the director.
Yeah, a huge shout out to Aaron,
And
who Aaron and his team of also a boy called Imran, right? And Azim,
Imran
we met
Marshall.
them at Hawaii, you know. So they were from Sunway University, and we formed a really strong bond of young people who support each other. I mean, they're the young people who support each other, and I just support. I'm happy to know them all, and that relationship has continued between Aaron and ourselves, and we like to, you know, keep it going as well because he's got an incredible eye, you know, when it comes to angles and things. And I think this film is a really good reflection of how the company has responded to keep being creative during the pandemic, during the lockdown. I think this was essential for us. Yes, on the one hand, we have issues with finance, but on the other hand, you know, the art feeds our minds and our bodies and our souls. So I think that was important.
Yes, it seems that the film itself reflects kind of the current state of the arts, not only in Malaysia, but kind of worldwide, and what a lot of artists face. And that's why the film itself is really interesting. Is this a direction that you think their company will go in terms of producing more dance films for, I guess, for mass consumption, for more people to see?
I
I
don't
think
think.
that
I think
okay, you go first.
it's definitely on the cards, right, Imran? Something that we
Yeah,
want to keep doing.
I believe that with the current situation, we don't have a lot of choice, and that will be the only platform that we can give or perform to the audience. So of course, upcoming throughout the pandemic and throughout this outbreak will definitely create more dance films to actually to enjoy. But at the end of it, also we miss our live performance as well to actually give the adrenaline rush, to actually give the energy towards the audiences, and to just experience live performance.
Yes, the immediacy of the response in a live performance cannot be replicated through a filmed performance, obviously. So I think we want to do that, and we want to go back to doing that whenever we can. But this is something that we must keep exploring. And in
Mm.
fact, this is our 10th anniversary, the 10th anniversary of the company. So we were planning a huge live performance this year, and we've abandoned that. That was another hymn of the abandoned. So, so we are going to do a online fundraising, hopefully, of some of the iconic works that we've done. Good quality video. We're not doing a separate video shooting session. Oh, we must mention Datuk Ramli Ibrahim's Gerak Angin Festival during the
Yes.
pandemic that was filmed specially with the intention to help the arts companies. So he selected some companies, theatre, dance, music, created a festival, and we got funding from the government for that as well. So that was very good of him to include us in that. So now we want to do a fundraising online performance for our company. But, we are talking about people suffering online fatigue. It's difficult to keep them engaged. Yeah, many things to think about, right?
That's true, sir. I mean, it is all good and well, the first few months, the first few of getting across the globe, where you can watch Phantom of the Opera in your own home, you can watch and you can join Gaga workshop, even on an online workshop. But then, how long can we sustain this? At the end of it. So yeah, people are getting bored and people are getting tired. So we always need to have like a different approach, and to cater for especially Malaysian audience. It's very hard because I mean truthfully they would not want something that is artistic. They want something more lively, and because our community is very small, especially in the arts. So that's where Arts Dance Company tends to cultivate, to educate. And we're still trying after 10 years of that. And yeah, so exactly. So we actually think that at the end of the day, how can people appreciate the arts that we want to tell them, the message that we want to give them? And it's been hard because Malaysian audience now and the generation now has changed. And that's where we come up with all the series, like the Pelita series and the Cherry Blossom, because their attention span is lesser. They just want, 1 minute or 30 seconds. Like you watch in social media, there's TikToks, there's Reels. So we need to adapt to that. So instead of, watching like a dance film of 16 minutes, they want only like 1 minute of, lead, 1 minute of contemporary movement. Yeah. So we need to adapt to that. So I mean it's been hard, but I mean that's one of the thing and one of the challenges that we have to take. to continue to strive in this field.
Wow, that's great. It's I think a challenge for many artists and what many artists are facing today, but it's great to see that Ask is is up to the challenge, right? Of trying to adapt
And
to all
always
of these
asking,
changes.
yes. Always asking, what can we do? How can we do this? How do we respond? Yeah, thank you, Desiree.
Yeah, that's wonderful, wonderful. Well, that's all the time we have today. So terima kasih, mahalo to Joseph and Imran for joining us today, all the way from Hong Kong and Kuala Lumpur. If you'd like to know more about Ask Dance Company, please go to their website at askdancecompany.com. I want to thank our sponsors, the National Endowment of the Arts, the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts, the East West Center Arts Program, the University of Hawaii at Manoa Outreach College, and all the people, all of you who support what we do with dance throughout Asia and the Pacific regions. Please join us for our next APDF Moving Forward segment, where we'll have Kumohula Melia Lobenstein Carter talk about her involvement with the APDF in 2017. This will be held on July 16th at 7 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. For more information about the Asia Pacific Dance Festival, please visit our website at manoa.hawaii.edu/outreach/Asia Pacific Dance. My name is Desiree Quintero. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Salamat malam and aloha.
Thank you, Desiree.
Aloha. Thank you. Thank you, Imran. Thank you, Desiree.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir. Thank you, APDF.